existence.
Hello and welcome to the Radiant Black Podcast. This is a show about Radiant Black and everything Massiveverse, a series in superhero universe created by Kyle Higgins and Marcelo Costa. I'm your host, Bashar, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts,
Matt Murphy,
Ali,
and Charlie.
How are you guys doing today?
I just doxed myself, I guess, for not using last names. No, I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling 22, even though it's got me fired up. I know it's going to be a lot of Brayden hating going on, and I'm here for it. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun one to talk through with you guys.
there's going to be a lot of hate. And like we said before recording, we got to keep remembering that this is not a real person. This is a fictional character.
Yeah, yeah, good reminder for sure. And yeah, I'm doing well over here for sure. Kind of can't wait to talk about this book, and we got a couple good ones we're gonna talk about coming up this week for sure. I'm excited for as well. And yeah, like you said, kind of gotta keep our tempers down for this one, but it should be a fun conversation.
Before we begin here, we actually got a super exciting announcement this week over at the Massiveverse. So if you got the latest edition of the Substack Black Market Narrative, Substack Black Market News from Kyle Higgins, that's where you get all the official Massiveverse updates, the best place to get all the Massiveverse news. So make sure you're following. And basically, Kyle let us know that there's something really exciting, and it's incredible. The Inferno Girl Red Kickstarter edition, they had some extra copies left over, and they put them on the website for sale. There were 65 US for a copy. And of course, you know, all of us here ordered our copies because we loved that book and we wanted to support them. And also we really wanted, we all missed out on the Kickstarter and we really wanted copies. So you guys, I was excited. How'd you guys feel?
Yeah, I was unsure at the beginning because I was like, I already got the single issues and number 3 comes out in a week or so. I was like, maybe I'll pass. But a few days went by and the FOMO kicked in, especially after Bash and Charlie got theirs. I was like, all right, I can't. I gotta get mine too. So I actually just got mine today. And I tried to find out how many they have left, but I couldn't tell. So if you want yours, get on it. They might be gone in a couple of days.
I was curious about that too, but I was super excited. Just waited for a chance. These were, even one was going to become available again. Like I was even looking through eBay sometime, like all the time, just seeing because I saw someone throw up someone a long time ago, so I was just kind of hoping to get lucky. But I was happy to get a chance actually to get one from Black Market Narrative. I know like the only thing that kind of is hesitant on us is that shipping to Canada is kind of a little hefty. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was kind of a sucker the first time and was really pissed off that I passed on that. So I was happy I could get a copy of this.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's cool that they're shipping to Canada now, right? Like that's a recent thing.
Yeah.
Bash, you mentioned it. That's really sweet. I appreciate that so much because poor Ali. I think Ali is the one that benefits the most out of this because he's been almost like he's been.
I've been like a hub.
Yeah, so thanks for your service, Ali. But now I mean, we're just cheaping out for the shipping. Really, we're just putting you through hell. So no, that's super nice. And Inferno Red is amazing. Like I don't think there's been any hyperbole on this podcast about that book because it's friggin' amazing. And a hard copy of that to a lot of people are kicking themselves for missing out on the Kickstarter. So it's nice that Black Market Narrative people can get another shot at this. So go for it if you have that FOMO. You got the solution right there.
The reception was so positive. Like so many people were so excited. I got people like tagging us, placing their orders. I know our good friend of the podcast and awesome listener, member of the community, Jordan Kramer. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Please let me know how to pronounce it. But he picked up, of course, a hardcover, I believe, and he asked us if we picked him up, and of course we picked him up. So yeah, I mean, so many people were so excited. It was so nice to see like so many people who missed out on the Kickstarter just submit their orders right away, tag the creators, be like, look, I got my copy. And I was like, Ali, I got the FOMO immediately. I saw Charlie bought it right away, and I was like, you know what, like
you were debating it for a little bit too.
I was debating because I was like, the shipping to Canada is really expensive, but I could ship it to Ali. Do I really want to ship it to Ali?
It was a hang up for sure.
Yeah, he'll just like keep it, So I was like,
it got lost in transit. I don't know where it is, man.
I just shipped it to Eddie. I was like, fuck it. It's so much cheaper shipping to Eddie. So I shipped it to him in the States, and he'll eventually just give it to me when we see each other, or ship it here or whatever. But yeah, so we need it, man. We loved Infernal Go Red here on the pod, and we haven't put out a review yet because we did get to read the entire 3 issues. And we're going to review them all in one review, one big review, giant size review episode. It's going to be so much fun. We're super excited. And the other news is the same week that we're getting the final issue of Inferno Go Red Book 1, number 3, which is March 22, 2023. We're also getting the Dead Lucky Volume 1, The Good Die Young, collecting issues 1 to 6 of the Dead Lucky. It's very cheap. It's like, I think it's like in Canada, it's $13.50 for volume 1. I think it's $9.99, so that's a steal. I heard Michael say that he's really proud of the gloss on this one. It's the best one yet, so that alone is super exciting. Are you guys gonna pick it up?
Yeah, I've made it my mission to get every trade, and I have everyone so far. I probably won't stop until I need to buy a new bookshelf.
Yeah, it's becoming harder and harder to keep up with those apparently. But no, this one looked super nice, so I'm definitely gonna pick this one up. And just that first volume was really good stuff.
Yeah, with the Massiveverse title, it's always a matter of if, not when, I'm getting these, or when, not if. Sorry, I fucked that up. But yeah, yeah, you know what I mean though. Like it's like obviously they're quality, right? Like these trade paperbacks, the Image First are cheap, which is really nice, and the Fallout volume, like the quality of the book, the spines all line up. Like people that care about the spines, for fuck's sakes, the material's good, So it's always yeah, it's worth picking up.
Agreed. They're really nice. They're really nice. Really proud of the team, the Massiveverse team, and Michael for the spot gloss. Just the way that the books come out, they really feel premium. They read really nicely. I love it. Another piece of news, and arguably the biggest. I guess no. The Inferno Go Red's definitely the biggest, but this is huge as well. So final order cutoff being Monday, and hopefully this episode should drop on Sunday. So hopefully you'll get a chance to hear this before Monday, but. Radiant Black number 24, which also has a Blacklight edition. And please remember that it's important for you to pre-order your Blacklight edition because it's a $9.99 US copy. There's not going to be too many stores that get a lot of shelf copies of issue 24 of an indie series Blacklight issue. Just not how retailers order, at least not around here. You guys have similar experiences. So I already put in an order for like 2 or 3 copies. And to add to that, they gave us a little tease with the Igor Monti pages. So they gave us 4 pages. And the first page is exactly the same page as the Radiant Black 10 page, the first page. But this time it has both of them falling through the 4, the smashing through the 4, the things breaking the 4 walls to existence. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's some of the most beautiful pages I've ever seen in a comic book, to be completely honest with you. And my personal reaction, I was speechless because I told Charlie before we had this discussion, we were really wondering, we're like, how is Igor gonna top what he did? Like how the fuck do you do that? Like you guys see Radiant Black number 10, they put that shit up on in a bar during like the Radiant Black Blackboard party night. It's so beautiful, lit up in all its glory. And it's just like, it's genuinely a work of beauty, a work of art. And I was like, how is he gonna top that? And once I saw these 4 pages, I had no words. So I'm super excited. What did you guys think?
yeah, insane stuff. Literally, I echo everything you said, and yeah, that big spiral page too. That callback, and yeah, just like cannot wait. Like we saw the insaneness of the later on pages in issue 10. So I can't even start to think of what Igor and Marcelo cooked up in this one. Like it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, the colors in that stick with me. Like I can vividly picture like a lot of that book because of just how potent the art was, and just the storytelling matched the art. Like it was very like, it was like heavy artillery as far as story goes, and that's why this issue reminds me a lot of it because it has a lot of that heavy emotional resonance. But yeah, Igor's artwork is always like Igor's colors are like, he's the colorist I talk about most in comics for a reason. Like the stuff he can do is amazing, and everyone is firing all cylinders.
Adi, what do you think?
Radiant Black 10 was one of my favorite like single issue reading experiences. I actually wasn't like at home when it came out. I was somewhere else. and I had to go to like a Harbor Freight to find a blacklight flashlight so that I can read it. So it was a whole like experience for me. And like you guys said, the colors were amazing, and I can't wait to see like what other parallels they have, because you mentioned earlier the first preview page they showed with them falling through the 4 walls. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a few more like callbacks or Easter eggs that
that's true.
I'm very looking forward to checking out. But yeah, make sure to pre-order them, because like Bash said, especially recently, like from my experience from the local comic stores that I go to, there's been less and less shelf copies of at least like the non-Radiant Black Massiveverse titles. So make sure you go pre-order that.
Yeah, the more you pre-order, the more will be on the store shelves for people to see and more eyes to be on the book. And obviously, if you look at a cover of Radiant Black or any of the Massiveverse series, they're pretty eye-catching. So that really helps the series out.
Yeah, and get the Blacklight edition, because that's the best way to experience this just this incredible experience, to be honest. And I gotta say, like, Igor is one of the most incredible, innovative colorists I've seen. He's really, we've talked about before how colorists, they don't get talked about enough. They, a lot of people always mention the writer. It's really weird when you see, like, okay, people talk about Invincible and they always mention Kirkman, and many people mention Kirkman Otley. I don't see a lot of people mention like Crabtree, Bill Crabtree, for example, but it's such an essential part of that whole mix of that beautiful creative formula, and the colors are so important. And I would say, especially in a cosmic series like this, where we have so many issues that go borderline psychedelic, that were like dimension, mind-bending stuff, this is really a testament to his talent. And I love that Igor came into the Discord and he said, by the way, what about the previews? I was right when I said this issue is crazier. No bullshit. I'm honest. And I just I just love that. He takes so much pride in his work. You love to see creators excited about people's reactions. And another thing he said, I have a crazy story in my bag. One day I'll make it. It's a promise. So that's so exciting, because Igor is such a talented creator. So the fact that maybe he can write something one day, that has me super excited. And he said, and this is a testament to how much he cares about the quality of these books. And this goes for everyone in the Massiveverse. He said, thank you a lot. I checked the pages 100 times to be sure of the quality. And that means a lot to me, at least, like to me as a reader. I know how much care they put into the book, because immediately when you look at the pages, you feel it. But also just to hear it, it means so much. So thank you, Igor. Thank you, Team Massiveverse. We can't wait. I've already put my orders in. I know these guys have a bit of news. And it's a perfect segue, actually, Adi, that you brought this up, is they're bringing Radiant Blacklights to Diamond.
Wait,
so if you have a comic book store, it's the very last bit of the newsletter, the latest newsletter. So they're bringing Radiant Blacklights to Diamond, so you could order them through your comic book shops. So assuming your comic book shop has Diamond as one of their retailers, which they should, most of them. So get your Blacklights, perfect, just in time for Reading Black 24. Put those orders in, and Kyle said through the newsletter that packs of 10 are available through Diamond right now. So rejoice. Let's get our Blacklights. This one's been mentioned before, but there are still copies of the No One Black Market Narrative exclusives, both the Michael Cho foil and the Marcelo Costa retro. They're both gorgeous. They've posted some images of them. They came out so nicely. I think we've all grabbed copies. Anyone else interested, make sure you look. I believe the print count for the foil is 175 copies, and then 125 copies for the retro Marcelo Costa.
Chicago, like an awesome comics destination. You already did it with Cal. Like, I don't know all the comics that take place in Chicago, but like a whole universe, dedicated to Chicago, I think is pretty sweet. Well, Massiveverse is in Chicago, but like it is Chicago based. So I don't know. I feel like Lockport should be hooking him up with like a street name or something.
Higgins Street.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so one big thing we noticed right off the bat, Radiant Black number 2022. That's what we're reviewing this issue. Make sure you've read it. We're going to spoil it. Becca Carey is actually not lettering this issue for the first time ever. We asked, and Michael informed us that Becca's actually on vacation. So it's actually the best reason ever to have someone not do an issue, I guess, because they're enjoying their much-earned time off on vacation. Hope Becca had a good vacation, and I'm sure we'll get her back soon. But DC Hopkins subbing in for lettering.
Nathan taking a trip and Becca taking a trip at the same time. I hope hers is better than Nathan's for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I hope I don't think it could be any worse. But no.
At least he got in and out, man. He got in and out.
Yeah.
That's
For sure. He survived. He survived. Yeah. Went through some hardship, but no. Honestly, I didn't even notice that.
No, I meant In and Out Burger, bro. like on the cover,
no.
but he survived. He survived.
No. I mean, like, I didn't even notice that Becca wasn't on this issue until until you mentioned it today, actually. Which is awesome. Like, and also we got Eduardo back on this issue too, and like we always talk about just the seamless transitions of him and Marcelo. Like, it's just, yeah, it's awesome that people can take a break and not really miss a step and still really good quality.
Yeah, I didn't notice the In-N-Out burger. I feel like, I mean, this is good product placement for them. I feel like In-N-Out should do a solid and have us give us the Radiant Black burger with like the white patty and the black
That
bun,
is,
and it looks like
yeah.
a black hole. Like, come on, it's right there. Boom.
They're not shy about using those franchises, as we know, right?
No,
Yep.
it adds to the authentic feel because you don't have to hear about, as much as we all love what is it, Burger Mart or whatever. It's also nice to be able, when you see these iconic things that grounds you in the world, like Coke. When you have in the Spider-Verse, when you see like the alternate Coke logo, you're like, oh shit, that's the real world, but a different take on it. So I kind of like it when you incorporate these brands like Best Buy and stuff like that in an authentic
Yeah.
way.
I mean, he's sitting on the Hollywood stand eating in and out. Doesn't get more California than that, baby. And then the title of the issue is appropriately LA. As you got writer Kyle Higgins, and as my friends already mentioned, the return of the mighty and incredible and the generous and kind Eduardo Ferigato, who we'd had on the show. If you haven't heard the interview, check it out. Some of our old episodes. And guest artist is A. Carlos. So got two artists this issue. They did such a good job. Colorist Raul Angelo and letterer DC Hopkins, and of course the incredible editor and designer Michael Basuto. Midway Airport, Chicago, right?
Before we move on, I just I'd be upset if we didn't mention the amazing cover by Francesco Mana, the cover B.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
Francesco Mana, he's been on our minds a lot, me and Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
We've had our fair share, and Patrick. Shout out to Patrick. We've had our fair share of Francesco Mana recently. Fantastic artist. Glad you brought it up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and Igor on that one too. Just really brought that one to life.
Mm-hmm.
So Chicago, we're taking a plane, and obviously in an ultimate Marshall and Nathan fashion, the camaraderie picks up right from the end of the last issue. We were wondering why he was going to LA. Turns out there's a pitch. He has to go to LA, and that's kind of bittersweet. How did you guys feel about that? I was kind of excited because it's a pitch. Nathan, this is a big part of Nathan's life, the writing, and we've seen how much he needs this, but I was also worried about like falling into old habits. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like bittersweet because you're going to a place that the first time you went to, he was younger, he was full of like dreams and hope, and kind of ended really badly with thousands of dollars in debt. So going back there, it definitely could have went both ways, and I'm happy and proud of the way he kind of handled it because it could have definitely went much worse.
Yeah, people could say this is a filler issue, but like I think it was really important. Yeah, it paints how we see Nathan. Like the beginning of the book, we get a whole new little background to where he was when he was 38 grand in debt. Like we know it wasn't just because like he wasn't getting pitches. It's because he, like, the people he was around, some of them were screwing him over trying to sell his own ideas. So you go home, it's like, not only am I not succeeding, people are succeeding with my ideas. Fuck this place, I'm going home. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like that we get more of a flavor to how badly he was screwed over and how more of a view on how he was feeling and why he was feeling defeated and what ways led him down that path.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was cool just seeing a bit of that history that we haven't seen before, like some of his past like friends that we'll get to meet in a bit. But just starting off on the plane too. I like this too. Just on the plane, I thought maybe maybe he could have been wearing headphones talking about all this stuff, just kind of out in the open. A little head scratch moment for me. You just never know who's listening, especially because like they're right in Chicago too, like right around where all this has been happening. So you never know, but it's just one of those things.
The AirPod check didn't clear, so we just had speaker gone. That's my.
Fair enough. No, I definitely agree. Now that you bring it up, I do think it's probably to help facilitate some of the more comedic moments. But now that you mention it, it could have totally worked with the headphones. I do like that we have Marshall, little Marshall cameos here and there, even though he's not really there. Same thing with, of course, Wendell.
I love when they show his little head like moving,
Yeah.
looking at all the possibilities.
Yeah. Little throwback to issue 7 or 8, I guess, of like
must have been hard.
all the bodies of him like doing that.
Would have been hard to render though, right? Such a small space to
Yeah.
be doing it, right?
It's very impressive how much they made it feel like they're being FaceTimed. Like the screen has just the perfect hue to make it feel like it's like a software based like device that it's happening and not just like a panel within a panel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's the little things like that really add up. And I almost want the alternate issue. Like I want 23 to follow like Marshall and Wendell doing this. If I want to see how pissed off Wendell gets with just Marshall with no buffer. You know that's brutal for him.
There's a really good joke they make later on, which I'm gonna say for until we get there. But I do like that Marshall, he's antsy, he's pressing him about looking through the phone about the shift stuff and the weapons and finding any evidence of the Soon guy and all that good stuff. And then we see that, like you guys said, Wendell's on the other end trying to work his angles with the robot, trying to figure out anything he can. And Marshall's just being Marshall, right? Like,
yeah, there's no off switch for him. Also, I was wondering how Marshall would react with Brayden as I was reading this issue. Like, would Marshall just go off and be like, buddy, you got no, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see that, but I don't think we will. It's important that Nathan went off so we can realize and kind of slide back into his old life and give us that. So it was interesting.
Good point. Fantastic. Yeah. I do love the visuals. It's like, just them taking off. You get the good flight feel. And then you get the Nathan walking through LAX, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I was gonna say real quick, very, very peaceful here. Like looks good. I was just laughing because I was recently on a trip and coming back from the airport at Pearson. Definitely, he looks pretty peaceful here coming out, and definitely, I didn't look this relaxed coming out of the airport for sure. But no, it is just kind of a funny thing there.
I like the way Nate Dogg looks in this issue. Like I don't know
Nate Dogg, no.
He looks really good. Yeah,
no joke. I was like thinking before the podcast, and like I didn't reread the issue until this was before the second reread, and like I was gonna make a Nate Dogg joke, and I forgot they called him Nate Dogg in the issue. So like the seed is planted. It's incepted. He's Nate Dogg now. So
oh my God.
I
can't believe they actually called him that. Sorry, go ahead.
I love that last panel in that page though, like him in the car and just like kind of like the outside of the car view, like just like all the colors and just seeing all the lights kind of in the background was really cool. And it kind of like transitioned into our first of many kind of flashbacks throughout this issue. But I just kind of really like that transition.
I love the contrast in the flashback, like between then and now.
Yeah,
it's so nice. It's so nice. I love that. Anyways, go ahead, Matt.
There's the way they're facing, right? Like they're looking away, and now he's looking at the building, and like somehow it's like it's not like a highly descriptive version of Nathan when we see him in the flashback there at the top panel, but like somehow he looks younger. I don't know what it is, but they managed to, it's impressive to me. I know visually our minds and like the writing and the framing is supposed to tell us they're younger, but I don't know, somehow he does look younger.
It's because the hair's down. It's because the hair's down. I think that's what it is. I think that's the only change.
I think for me, it's the posture. If you look at the second panel, he's more like hunched over, kind of like not depressed, but like kind of not as excited. But in the upper one, he's like chest out, walking straight up, full of hope and confidence.
Yeah, it's like how LA changes you. It just takes your hope away.
Real quick before we go all in on this guy, just the first look at him, just the way Brayden talks, and just seeing this guy like in the summer weather with the I don't know, like I think it's a Canadian thing, but yeah, wearing the scarf in the hot weather really threw me off right away.
The hipster vibes,
scarf and a jacket too.
Yeah, the hipster vibes. Is that what you're trying to say? You're just afraid to say it. You want to say it? Yeah, no, I feel it too. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
He's not giving you off that good energy.
Very douchey, right? Just very douchey. Like very.
I agree with you. And I think our douchiest panel hasn't even come up yet, and that's a testament to how good the creators are. That's just beginning.
Like how Breath of the Wild, there's people finding secrets about that game like 6 years later, like every day. I feel like we find new aspects of how douchey Brayden is like 10, 15 years from now, because this guy, holy shit. We were talking before about Brayden Listeners, or we'll probably have to ask Kyle if we have him on. Do you guys think that he's Australian or from the UK? Because he says mate a lot, and I don't think there's any other indication that he is would use mate in his normal parlance. I don't know if that was used as a way to make him sound even more obnoxious, because if so, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
very good
I was laughing before this too. I was gonna say I personally read this whole thing like in Australian just because like hearing mate right away, it's kind of just one of those stereotypical things that are sometimes our minds can go to, I guess. But for sure, like when you mentioned that would definitely make it a lot worse. And yeah, that was pretty much the only thing that kind of like indicate that he would be Australian. So yeah,
Raise the
it's a good
Aussie
point.
flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I also noticed is like it's funny we get all these mates and the iconic Brit, Constantine. Nathan kind of looks like Constantine in one panel near the end when they're talking. I'll highlight it later, but it's kind of funny. Anyways, getting into LA, Nathan's getting back to his old place where he used to stay and meeting people that he actually wants to see before he has to see the final boss. So it's nice.
Yeah, and
The
Nathan
final boss, love it.
saying hello to his friends, catching up with Ranger Elizabeth, but who very much looks like Ranger Liz. If you know, you know. Shout out. Really cool. That's where we get the infamous Nate Dogg moment, and that's going to be one for the ages. I'm pretty sure someone's going to add that to League of Comic Geeks because everything is referenced there. It's crazy. Shout out to all the amazing people referencing all the Massiveverse, just creating basically a wiki there. And then we get, is it Mika or Micah? Micah, I guess.
I'd say Micah.
I think Micah. Yeah.
Yeah. Micah says hello, an old friend of Nathan. Got the whole town here, the whole gang here. But that's when things start to take a turn because, you get this funny back and forth where he's asking Elizabeth, like, what happened to the place? How come it's so much better? And she's like, well, I got some money finally. So that's funny. I want to say earlier, though, there was the jab in the flashback with Brayden where he says, one of 50 reasons I have zero interest in screenwriting, although the health insurance would be nice. Is that little jab at Ryan Parrott? Because he writes for TV. And are you jealous of the health insurance, Kyle? No, I'm just kidding. Probably looking into that too much. But yeah, that was a fun little joke. I enjoyed that. Catching up with the friends, we're back in the house, and you can tell immediately. And I love, and this is a shout out to Eduardo Ferigato and Zach Carlos's work on this issue. The facial expressions in this issue are incredible, and you can feel that immediately as they begin to talk about Brayden and how Nathan's entire his body language and his gestures change completely. And you could see his face right as he says, oh, he's dating JJ now. Fantastic stuff.
You could probably read this without dialogue, without even reading it. You could just like see the faces and you could have the whole story is told. It's that well done with the expressions. You're right. I'm glad you highlighted that.
Yeah, and then you get the moment where they're walking over to Brayden's house in Santa Monica. And that's a bit of a humbling moment because, Nathan's reaction, are you fucking kidding me? This is an apartment. And that's where we get, the first, this is going to be one of those where the guy's just going to outclass him in that sort of way, but not really. And then you get a look at frickin' Brayden and his current, like in the current context, current present day. Oh my God, he looks like such a douchebag. Like that first panel of him just pouring sangria got my blood boiling. I was already like,
how
put
many
off by
buttons on button there?
Too many.
So many. Too many. Too many.
Yeah, no, he's not a shy guy for sure, but yeah, pouring some fresh sangria for them and just comes right over and it's just like, it's so good to see you, Nathan. He's like, yeah, you too, man. And it's just like the most awkward thing. It's like, this guy is just such an idiot. He just has no idea, like, kind of like Nathan's feelings towards him. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. He's, definitely.
I don't think he's gotten pushed back before. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever pushed back on him. He doesn't know how, just the depths that he can slither, right? And I even like the shirt just shows how low he's willing to go. That's how low he'll button the shirt, no higher, because he's such a. I know that's a stretch. But
no, that's it. No, I like it.
No, it's definitely not intentional. Or if it is, damn, Kyle, you're lucky I highlighted that. But no, it's really good design and really, or whoever chose to go with the low shirt there. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of people get people that can lie and slither their way through places like this guy succeeded in Hollywood. They go until he knows, and he's just trying to find that point where it's too far. Okay, cool. I can't use this person. You know, that's the vibe I get from
him. Definitely. He's a bit of a sleazy guy, and we get that impression right away for sure. You know, he's apologizing and everything, but it really feels disingenuous. And then, you know, we're just friends catching up in the balcony. You know, douchebag levels are high because, you know, he's just showing off his beautiful balcony, which I get it, dude, you know, but, you know, like you guys said, all the buttons being down is a bit much. But then you get JJ coming in and she looks like $1 million, of course. Just, it's like, you know, salt in the wound, right? So it's a little awkward, especially for Nathan, because, you know, yeah, like everyone's a bit too comfortable. And that's where you see JJ, you know, start to like get a little too comfortable. It's like, oh, we should order some food. And he's like, oh, we have appetizers. And he's like, she says, sangria and bruschetta is not a meal. And that's where Brayden's like, I'll give you a meal. And we see Nathan downing the sangria just like immediately in the next panel. And he's going to need more. He's like, yeah, I'm going to need more of these. That's such a good page. And it's like, come on, feel for our boy Nate Dogg here.
You just see his disgust on his face. Oh, I'll give you a meal. They like bolded the give. It's like, dude, this guy, yeah.
It's almost Clint Eastwood.
I don't know what she sees in him. Like I'm just like, wow. Like I don't know. Like she seems like a pretty like level-headed girl, but yeah. I guess this stuff happens all the time. But
he's not a bad-looking dude, and like he's got like in Hollywood. Yeah, that's impressive, right? Like he's connected. People know. Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm not saying
he seems like a good-looking, successful dude. It's just that the way he's successful is not so nice.
I actually did have a question for you guys too. Like he's super successful in all this. But then we find out later, like he hasn't made a movie, like he hasn't even made anything yet, or
it sounds to me like he's kind of like a middleman. Like he finds someone with a good idea, and then he's so charismatic that people actually like listen to him. You know what I mean? Nathan seems a little more reserved, so I guess like the fake it till you make it kind of attitude worked for Brayden. You know what I mean?
For me, it's like he's like a drug dealer. He can show you that he can connect you to the other guys that can give you your supply and
he's
stuff.
Like Saul. He's Saul.
Yeah, well, almost like it was reminding me of when you'd have like Gus talking to people in Breaking Bad. Like I was definitely getting Breaking Bad vibes of like, okay, you know, it's who you know in the drug trade and in Breaking Bad, you know, it's Juan Balsa and the cartel, just like this. I know the producer. Whether you can make the best meth, it's like no, it's whether you have the supply chain, and he has the supply chain, right? Like he can get you further up, and that's why he's so crucial and so despicable.
Yeah. Like he's the network guy, he's the charismatic guy, he's the guy who knows.
He'll just take his little cut on the side. Yeah.
And when he says up above, I unequivocally see what Jonah loves about it. No, you don't. That's just a word you know that you can express that you know, but you're not even a writer and you don't want to be a writer.
He's like an agent, right? He's like an agent. Yeah, but like, yeah, exactly. He's like an agent.
I think the difference is he's
not like selective.
He pretends that he has a hand, or if not, that it's totally his idea.
Yep.
Yeah, he's an ideas man with no ideas.
Yeah, he seems to like pass off the ideas as his own, and that's where we get the flashback in the next page where they, you know, flashback to another time when they were young and they were living together. We see he's got his post-college grind. He's on the desk just tapping away on the keyboard, typing, and that's where he sees Brayden come in, and he's like, "Oh man, you missed a good one." Like, I just like, you know, I met this producer, I pitched this story. It was, you know, perfect timing. And then that's where Nathan's like, what, pitched my story? Like the one I've been killing myself to finish. And that's where Brayden replies, it was innocent, mate. Really a plus. This is the path. It's an opportunity. He already texted my manager. And Nathan's like, but you don't write anything. You've never written anything. And then it's like, oh, we'll do it together. You know, this is real. And that's just like, it's so like gross, you know what I mean? And that gives you an idea of what he is, like really.
If you just helped him get his foot in the door, right, and take like a 10% cut, that's okay, whatever. Yeah. But you're just like, it isn't even written. It's an idea this guy had, and the story's gonna be completely different if Nathan did pen it, because you're pissed off and it's a stolen idea now. It totally kind of corrupts the idea of the story, even. So it's messed up.
Yeah, like he almost like took away the agency from Nathan in developing his own story in a sense, which is even more frustrating because not only did he take his idea, but he kind of like killed the momentum in a way. So
I like that you mentioned that agency because like he loses his agency at the beginning completely when he's back living with the folks and he's broke. So this is like the path to Nathan losing his independence almost.
yeah, I'm really curious. Yeah. And this next page hurts even more when you really think about it, because it's a moment of pure irony, in the sense that like he happens to wake up from the phone and the sangria, of course, just at the moment that like JJ is wearing fucking Brayden's like unbuttoned shirt, looking all sexy,
Oh my
getting
god,
a
that didn't
drink
even
from the
click in my
fridge.
head until you just
do,
mentioned.
do you know what I mean? Like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that so shitty? Like, just to rub salt in the wound even more. Like, he just happens to wake up, like drunk, wake up
He's
the
looking like
moment.
shit. She looks like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's wearing his shirt.
I will say though, she buttoned more buttons than Brayden for sure.
Yeah,
because
at
she's
least.
naked.
Yeah,
She's new
yeah,
with
for
it,
sure. She's
you
still
know?
she's still not
Yeah.
she's still not trying to cover much. To be honest
Exactly.
here.
Exactly.
Like
She's
she,
a
yeah.
bit too comfortable. Like, this is
Oh,
your ex.
for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
I was
Yeah.
shocked. Like I
Yeah.
thought at first, like she was like I was questioning her motives at first. To be honest,
Exactly.
I was like,
Me
whoa,
too.
like yeah, what's going on here? But yeah, no, just yeah.
We're about to have like a Hollywood threesome. Or...
Yeah, no, it's weird, but like even like wearing, I guess, yeah, wearing a dress shirt to bed, like is that even comfortable? Like
No, she was
I don't
naked.
know,
She just wore that
No,
to
I'm
go
assuming. Yeah,
like she just picked it up off the floor and just.
I'm assuming there's two avenues. Either they banged and then she put on his shirt, which is like what
picked
this
it up
usually
off the floor
is,
and then-
right, yeah. Or it's like they didn't bang. Maybe he drank too much, because she does say he had too much as well, and he's not feeling great. And then she just picked up the first shirt she could see. So it's like, maybe in her view, maybe it's genuinely innocent. Like, she didn't expect him to get up, but it's like
It shows how she's.
I agree with you guys. She could have worn a fucking bedrobe or something. You know what I mean? Like,
It shows how she's not thinking about him and how he feels, though. It's like, I don't give a fuck if I look like $1 million.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
it's
really
really
good
a
point.
thought that crosses her mind. Just like Matt said, she just did it, right? She's
It shows that they're at two different points in their acceptance and closure, like of their relationship, of their post relationship. Yeah, she's totally moved on. Whereas like he's still literally pitching a story about her, right?
And
So
she wants
like,
things to be cool too, right? And for them, she wants to be cool. When you have it all, it's easier
well,
to say to the
not
person,
only
"Oh,
does she
things are
want
cool,
things
right?"
to be cool, she actually has ulterior motives, which we'll discover later.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So it's like,
question real quick. She knows Nathan is reading black, right?
I don't. I actually
no.
I don't think so. But like, I don't really know. I don't think so.
We'll have to go back because Bash, you even mentioned before we went on that like there was mention of Brayden, and he's like, "Oh, well, you're gonna go bang Brayden." So this is also potentially like Nathan did not do himself any favors in avoiding and making Brayden seem less like an option. So
yeah, I made that jokingly in the behind the scenes. I was like, he didn't do himself any favors by bringing up Brayden, kind of like incepting her, and it's like it was an innocent joke, but like there is like some like point to that. It's like, yeah, she might have eventually like met with Brayden anyway, maybe, who knows, but like him even just planting that idea, I don't think really helps. It's like, why would you even bring that up? You know what I mean? Like unless you were trying to, unless the whole intent behind that was calling her out on something that had already happened, then that's completely different. Then that changes my view of it. But like, I read it as like, he's like, I hope you're not hooking up with my former roommate who happens to live in the same city and is in the same industry as you. That's how I took it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, and he knows that like Brayden, took his story and like most friends, your ex
took his success, took his ideas, right? Took his momentum, right? Made him like So it's like set him off, like almost like derailed him. So it's like I understand that saltiness.
Yeah,
and he's good looking, right? Now he's like good looking and shit, and he has a big apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Nathan's living at home and stuff like that, and almost died. He's in the hospital, can barely walk and stuff like that. And this friggin' Brayden guy. Also, like you just think, I do have to mention, definitely, probably the most prominent nipple in the Massiveverse. If you know, you know. But no, this was they know what they're drawing. Like this is the most like we've seen the female form accentuated in Radiant Black. Definitely. So it is like a hey, and Nathan, you feel terrible for him. This isn't his house, right? He has to stay at the other guy's friggin' house that he's paying for with money that potentially like began. The cash flow started with Nathan's idea. I assume that was one of the first things he sold was Nathan. Well, he's selling it now, but that's probably what got him these connections because it's who it's what gets him in the door, and that's what gets him fiending for more other ideas and stuff. So it's just this is such a well executed story, and there's so many elements that just heighten everything. Like I don't want to sound like a Radiant Black show, but this is just so fucking well done and executed that people are pissed off for a week about some lines and colors and stuff like that about friggin' Brayden. It's just I love it.
Yep. And just so you guys know, that the exchange was from Radiant Black number 14, It's after both JJ and Radiant or JJ and Nathan are in bed, and they're waking up in the morning, and she says, they were just talking, and he says, "Oh, if I had $1," and then she says, "For every time a woman said that to you, what you'd have $5? Stick to contemporary noir, Ace." And then he says, "I mean it. I didn't think we'd get back here." And she says, "I didn't think a building would fall on you." And he says, "Thanks, JJ. Really?" And she replies, "Come on, I'm kidding. I'm still here, aren't I?" And then he says, "You never actually told me, but how did you hear about what happened?" And then she says, "Hmm." And then he says, "The building and the coma." And then she says, "Brayden." And then he says, "Really? You ran into him? Or like, are you guys friends?" And then she like kind of like pokes, like she pushes him in his shoulder lightly, and she's like, "No, I'm not sleeping with your douchey old roommate." And then he laughs and he said, "I said friends." And then she's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what you meant." So
It's interesting that he said that, because when Brayden first saw Nathan, he said, "Sorry, I haven't really talked to you since you woke up." So he knew he was in a coma, but he didn't even like bother
Yeah,
to jump on him
that's
when he.
true.
when
That's
he
a good
woke
point.
He's
up.
keeping tabs on his source for his career, for all the stories. I gotta keep that guy alive.
I didn't even realize that. Oh my god, this guy is literally that much
He's
of an
the
asshole.
worst.
Like he's literally not even like he's literally letting his ex know that he was hit by a freaking
Could you go check though for me and bring him
building.
back?
Yeah, it's
Can you
like,
go
can you
pump
go
his
get him?
tires a bit, and then we
Yeah.
can get his ideas out of him? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know JJ's motivation, how in on this JJ is, or if she's just like genuinely seeing Nathan, but we don't know. We don't know. Like JJ, I want to believe is just fooled by this terrible person, but who even knows how deep this
Well,
goes?
okay. Back to the issue, because we don't want the
Yeah,
issue to
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah,
derailed. Right as sexy JJ happens to derail the issue, of course, But no, so yeah, JJ in the shirt, in the mostly unbuttoned shirt, which ironically has more buttons on now, which is very funny.
That'll be a fun cosplay convention.
I would not advise doing that as a cosplay. I would just say. But yeah, you get the iconic. I think there's going to be an iconic panel because it's so funny. The fucking sangria. That's just such a funny panel. You get fucking Marshall, who of course, his display picture is Orson. Like, why wouldn't it be? Talking to Nathan, just asking him if he's found anything on the phone, and he says, "This robot sucks. Science fiction was wrong." Just a really funny comment. Marshall being Marshall. That's where we get the big revelation, right? So Nathan has almost like some drunken revelation there, where he says like, "Oh shit, like, hey, is your boss trying to hire Brayden to adapt my short?" And that's where JJ finally comes clean. She's like, "Fuck, like he wasn't supposed to say anything, but it's not what it sounds like. Okay, she just thinks he'd be a great fit, blah blah blah." And it's like, okay, now you saw what happened. Like she's almost like using him a little bit, and that's where for me it gets really icky, because it's like, yeah, you're saying all this like this bullshit about like staying friends, but then doing this, like a friend wouldn't like would have been transparent. You know what I mean?
You're mixing business with a friendship too, which is also fucked. Also, just notice this. So JJ's boss is Jonah. JJ and Jonah. J. Jonah Jameson popping off up in here. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's actually what I didn't think about that. That's good.
Yeah, I just realized it. That's why I like talking through this stuff, because a lot of points, like I make notes, but the conversation, the way it flows, and the stuff you guys all bring up, we all manage to, brainstorm and realize, this kind of stuff. So I like that, and yeah, it's freaking gross to sell your short. So it's like it is ickiness to it, right? When you have the factors of business and friendship and money being made, and some people are making more money when you're doing the heavy lifting. It's gross.
And you're not even being honest. Like you're not being transparent with your friend about what actually like is going on. She lured him here and then was eventually going to break it to him. Like think about it this way. If he literally found out then, and it's literally the night before the meeting, then when was she going to let him know at the meeting? Was she just going to like literally throw him under the bus at the meeting? Yeah, surprise him and just make him kind of like almost like force him into saying yes. You know what I mean? Like put him into a corner and like give him like make him look bad kind of thing. So
that's what Brayden did. He talked to in the flashback. He talked to the guy and he was like, "Oh, it just came up. It was such a coincidence, perfect timing, and he loved your story." That's that's his like MO.
Yeah, that's a super icky, I think, and it's like a really big like letdown in my opinion from JJ. Like I'm not saying she's like a piece of shit, but it's like this is really shitty. What she did here is really shitty.
This is
like,
the worst she's looked for sure in the series. Not that there's a lot of competition, because we haven't gotten we've gotten snippets of her, but this is the most prominent role she's had, and this is not the best look she's had, unfortunately.
No. But the next
shirt
page,
included.
Yeah, next page you get one of the most iconic panels I think I've seen in a long time, and they showed this as a teaser. It's just this gorgeous panel of Nathan just flying out of the house, his radiant black, and you see a gorgeous backdrop of Santa Monica. Really just beautiful stuff. My phone background actually. But yeah, you get a big oh shit moment where he's asking Siri to FaceTime Marshall while he's in the radiant black costume suit, and he's using his powers to keep the phone like with him flying.
I like
And-
this touch. I really did for sure. It was just
FaceTiming Michael.
it was just one of those cool things, and yeah, Siri's shitty enough as we all know, like as it is, and like I just can't imagine like just like flying like with all those winds and trying to do that. That would be a tough task to do, but yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? That gravity field seals in the wind.
How is this not better? It's such a nice quote. Like we're all thinking, like, how is voice recognition not a little bit better with the amount of stuff, the amount of times you're listening to us? You think it'd be better. Also, I like how this clarifies that they can share the radiant from like like half a country away. Apparently.
Yeah, that was big.
And they switched it though.
Yeah. And it's weird
that
because
was big
Marshall
stuff.
was like, I was trying to dial up connection to the Radiant, but it wasn't working because you're using it. He didn't actually say dial up, but that's how I entered.
Mhm.
But like, it's funny, right? Like he was like, I was trying to use it, but it wasn't working, which makes sense because you're using it, right? It says it right there. I was gonna fly to the Jewel to get some beer and moose tracks, but I couldn't get the Radiant. Makes sense. So that's I think
best ice cream moose tracks.
Yeah.
Of course,
one
you
the
would
best-
say that Canadian.
For sure. 100%.
A lot of the fantasy and comics you see, superpowers, there's power fantasy, but sometimes you see people that can, drink beer and eat ice cream in the same night and like can maintain their figure, this kind of stuff. I don't know if you can do that, but you would know if I had beer and ice cream this weekend, I'll tell you that much. But that was
Marshall,
nice. Yeah.
all the thirst traps, bro. All the thirst traps.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably the bath bombs. I mean, he's probably always eating like shit if he works at a place that like sells like edibles. I don't know. I'm thinking I don't know how Marshall isn't fat. That's his superpower, really.
So yeah, we get the exchange between the guys, and there's a joke on the next page as Nathan's flying through the town. He's going to an address that he found in Shift's messages, which he thinks is a warehouse. So he's going to investigate. There's a funny joke. They're actually similar to one Matt made in one of the previous episodes. If you look at the sign on the building, it says "Koalas scare me tonight only." And if you remember, we made that joke after Rogue Sun was it Rogue Sun or?
Yeah,
I
Rogue
think it
Sun
was-
is where the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't,
First mention.
Didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny coincidence. So,
Koala
Yeah.
Scare Me,
No, that-
my favorite band I've never heard from. Like so good.
I love the touch too, and the reason why I didn't see it, I love the touch of just the phone like giving him the addresses as he's flying.
Yep.
Just
the
kinda-
lettering was
I
really
love-
cool.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Nice touch. Yeah. And really, I like when I saw the lettering, I read it in like Siri's voice. So, like, really nice touch.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, they're going to the powers. I love the camaraderie again. I love that like you said, Marshall's always doing something funny. He's always being Marshall, and he was just like he's just chewing while he's talking, and is just stuffing his face. Like he's not making himself productive in any way to Wendell. He's not making himself really productive in any way to freaking Nathan. He's just being Marshall, and I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. Also the Metal Gear reference,
Oh.
Chef's Kiss. You gotta love it.
Perfection.
He loves Hideo. Marshall, loves Hideo Kojima. And yeah, eating the chips is nice. And he said that the Wendell's powers are mostly a glitch anyways or whatever. So like you can see he's not helping. Eva, he is not.
I love that. I that got me thinking if that was like reminiscent of our joke. Remember when we said like all he does is just like predict shit. He can't fly, he can't do anything, and we were making that joke when we first saw Wendell in action. But no, he's actually quite powerful. But yeah, warehouse time. Is that look on the pole outside the warehouse? Is that one of the stray dogs, or am I just reading into it too much?
Like the Stray Dog
Could.
series from
Yeah. Like, is that one of the stray dogs from the Stray Dogs series, or am I just like fucking crazy? Like,
I don't think so because like we
yeah,
can
I
do
don't
Disney
think so,
eyes.
yeah.
Like we saw Orton
Yeah.
with the Disney eyes.
Yeah.
We're
What's
really-
the eye? I wonder if any of these like images actually matters. I thought the eye was really curious.
I'm hoping Bird with Hat is the next spin-off for the Massiveverse. I would read the shit out of that fucking bird with the little like beanie on in the pants.
Oh yeah, he
got
looks
the
like
eye,
Terry
too.
the platypus. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's the eye too. That could be the all-seeing eye. Maybe they're big Seaway fans. I don't know. If we
Yeah,
could be the lens of
it,
truth.
I thought that was some Kieran shit at first. I was like, is Kyle fucking with us? Because man, they do so much of this, the background Easter eggs, cameos, and all this stuff in other Radiant Black
Everywhere.
issues everywhere. And we've seen
That's
like
how Rogue Sun and Dead Lucky were introduced.
exactly. I was literally
Yeah.
just about to say that. There you go. You read my mind. So yeah, in the next page we go to the warehouse storage hut, and yeah, this was interesting because well, the exchange went exactly as I expected it to, but I gotta say that touch at the very last panel on this page where you catch the reflection of the guy on the mask or on Rady Black's helmet. That's a chef's kiss touch right there. That's so
Mhm.
cool. I
Yeah,
love
that was really well done, and I think too that does look like the way Radiant Black was drawn. I would assume that would have been Zay Carlos or whatever. Like that doesn't look quite like Eduardo's Radiant Black, but it looks really cool, and it was an awesome touch for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And I gotta say, I think having Raul Angelo do the colors for this issue was a really good idea because the colors like overall are a little bit tamer. They work for this filler issue where we're talking more about character development and flashbacks and really expanding and doing some good character work here. But they don't shy away from being gorgeous. Like on the next page when you get the sudden the guy just pulls out the gun and just shoots Radiant Black across the chest. Big explosion. Freaking blows out the building. Gorgeous colors. Love that. Love the action. Love the distortion effect. You guys know we've talked about this so much. We talk about it every episode almost, or almost every issue that's in. But the distortion effects by Marcelo and everyone else, fantastic stuff.
I like how this fleshes out with like Shift's little empire here too, where it's like, okay, storage unit, this is kind of how he's doing it. So it's less like guesswork on how he's running this. Like, no, he has people that are willing for money to do this kind of stuff. And money has been a theme in this. It's in a lot of comics because, money's a big deal in our lives. And so we see that, we say it, he says it later on, there's always money or money's, money's always there. So it's true where
He asks him, what's the one thing that would get the character to turn him into like a crime series? And he's like, money.
It's always the money.
Money
Or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I do like that through line through here, how like people will sell themselves out, just like Brayden sold his soul for, for status and, livelihood. And this guy is like, okay, I'll just sit here and my job is to like let people turn my head whenever someone comes in and then also shoot Radiant Black if he pops in. So this was nice.
Yeah. I mean, he laid down the law. He told him like your connect's all dried up, shit's gone, your insurance, I hope it sucks, and then he just leaves the guy there. So a big mic drop moment. But I love the really subtle. This panel really effective where he gets the text and then the panel right next to it. They zoom in really close on his eye, and you can see again. I talked about the emotional and the facial gestures in this issue being extremely potent. Like Matt said, the emotions are incredible, and this was. No exception. This you could really feel in the moment his expression change again. Every time Brayden is brought up in one way or another, his expression changes. He gets upset and rightly so, right?
Just one irregular shape, that triangle, that weird triangle, and it's an eye and it's like, and you feel it. Like that's
conveys
talent.
so much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, super impressive stuff, and also back to Matt's point too about like this just showing kind of like Shift's kind of new empire growing and like just having like supporters all around, like this owner of this storage unit, but this point here that he says like Radiant Black's here like looking for the guns that they're keeping in these storage units, and he's like dude, like we don't keep anything here because everyone wants this stuff, like it's all gone, like it's all being sold out, like and we've seen too in Dead Lucky just like the people's wants and needs for like this kind of stuff, and
they're not far from it too. We're in LA, so you could use this in Dead Lucky Volume 2. We could go back to the vault here, right? So I like that this could be used later.
Yep, good point. Yeah, and another flashback, and it's another Brayden flashback, but this time they're clearly older because Brayden looks a little older. His beard is longer than it was where it was patchy and barely visible. Yeah,
Nathan.
Yep, hairs up on Nathan. He looks a little older as well, and they're having another almost rift between the two. That's where he Brayden's like, you don't need me. You're the real writer. You're gonna be, the next this, the next that. But he's like, I think it's for the best of us, but it's time to go in a different direction. And he's like, it's not even like really your idea. So he just stole another one of Nathan's ideas, stole Nathan's idea basically. And yeah, Nathan's back at that same place today. So that's gotta hurt. I mean, it's weird to bring the person back to the scene of the crime where you're gonna do the same thing to them again. So
Yeah, where's
Brayden.
Simon in the Belmont to get rid of this demon? Because like this is some bullshit. No, I had to make the pun, but yeah, to bring someone right back to the place where it's like, and obviously it's kind of like the JJ stuff where to JJ is no big deal, just walk across my ex. Oh, we're cool. Going back to this bar, this is our old hangout. But the thing that Nathan remembers the most in this bar, and he mentions it, is where this is the bar he was where he screwed him last time and took his other idea. So it's like memories stick to places for the people, especially those who get the worst end of the situation. So it just shows how little they care and it's business for them and they don't see what they're doing to him. Or maybe they do and it makes it even worse.
Maybe he is British or Australian. He says "glom on." I don't
Okay.
feel like that's something Americans say. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've never heard that before.
No, Nathan said it to him.
Nathan said
first.
that first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
now you're trying to glom onto another one.
Oh, glom on. Okay.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
But
thought he
Nathan
was
might be
just-
British. Look at that bottom left panel on that page. Tell me that doesn't look Constantine.
That does look very Constantine, though.
I love that they added the little touch of their reflections in the mirror. Like that's really cool.
Freaking Brayden with his Gryffindor scarf almost, right? Like it's white and black instead of white and red. It's like, you're not fooling anybody.
He's
Give him the
still
green and
wearing
silver.
the scarves.
Yeah.
Still, even in the present day, still wearing the scarves. The
It can't be
same
that cold.
scarf.
Although Nathan's got a winter jacket on.
It is
I mean,
winter.
yeah, it's LA. It might be true.
Yeah, that's
never
true. So it must be cold. If it's cold out, sure, you can accept the scarf.
That's
for
acceptable.
some cold, but not for him. Like we've seen him wear it in the summertime. So
Where's the
we
scarf
know
blade?
that.
It's fuck Brayden at this point.
He lost his chance.
But you could tell it gets ugly because that's where he's like, Brayden, cut the bullshit. You're not a writer. You've never been a writer. But then Brayden retorts, like, have you sold anything? And he calls, like, yeah, Nathan hits him where it hurts, but so does Brayden. And that's part of the shit part of being friends with this person or former friends is that they kind of know your weaknesses, even just from being around you a lot. So it's like, or part of your weaknesses or, some of your faults. And at this point, Brayden's hitting him where it hurts. And there is truth to it, right? Because like you said earlier, Nathan put himself out there, and even though he was manipulated, in some.
I think. Sorry to cut you off, but I just think that little panel in the conversation really highlights the difference between them because Nathan says you're not a writer, you've never written anything, but then he replies, "Have you sold anything?"
Yeah, he wants to create art. This guy wants to sell shit.
Exactly. It's almost like he's a used car salesman,
Yep.
Yeah, or owns like an art gallery and he needs to fill up his hallways one way or another, right? Like I just it's true. It's about selling an idea, selling something, but Nathan hasn't sold out, right? Like Nathan, maybe Brayden wanted to create when he came in. I don't know if he wanted to just hustle his way to the top. And also, you can see another world where these two could work together and be a force in Hollywood, right? Because sometimes creators aren't as social or or have the skill set to climb or find ways to open doors for themselves. So they could have been a good team, but it didn't go.
But I think Nathan has creator's integrity in the sense that he wants to. I think Brayden wants content, and I think Nathan wants to write.
Yes.
Yep.
You're right about the integrity part too. He's very like protective of his writing.
Yeah,
he didn't say content and call it content. Like, need more content, bro. Like, hey, Scorsese, love your content. Like, that kind of shit.
Yeah, no, it's just like he wants more art. Like Nathan wants to write. He wants to be a writer, and it's weird because Brayden knows that. He even tells him earlier, like, you're going to be the next this. Like, I don't remember the name he says, but he's like, oh, you're going to be the next like this popular writer. So it's like it's weird that he's just trying to say whatever he.
And Brayden didn't remember it either because it has no impact on him. He doesn't care about writers or the craft of writing, right? He forgot the name. It just shows.
And this is insulting. The money. That's the straw that broke the camel's back because him giving him the money is like Brayden's like shocked. Nathan is shocked. He's like, what's that? And he's like, look, like I checked for 10,000 because Jonah is only going to offer you 3K for the option. You'll close at 5, but this is me giving you on top of that because I believe in this. We could make it a banger, and I really like it. It's a win-win. And he really puts Nathan in a shitty position. It's really disrespectful, especially that okay, and then the pat on his shoulder at the end. Like that's very like condescending. So yeah.
That's the blood money. That's what he gets for the blood diamonds, right? Like that's for Nathan. It's like I don't want to accept this shit. Like this isn't what I'm owed, but he's in debt. Like 10 grand plus the 5 grand is almost half the debt that paid off from what we saw initially in the series. I forget exactly what happened when he came out of the coma and the credit card debts, and I assume the GoFundMe like paid off all his debts there,
His
but he still
parents
has,
paid off some of it too.
yeah, exactly. So like that's enough money to like get him halfway out of the friggin' hole. But because he's got that integrity, and sometimes the people with the, it's almost stubborn how much they don't want to like let go of any of their, their pride and stuff like that, to the point that you throw away money that could be feeding you and saving your ass, but you have your morals to keep you warm at night. Like it's not
It's
nice,
also
but
like, why would you want to help someone who screwed you and then is screwing your
that's
ex-girlfriend?
guilt money. That's not helping them. It's for his conscience. Accepting
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
Yeah,
he's
for
making
sure.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get this meeting, the meeting that Nathan's been looking forward to. The whole reason he's in LA. They're obviously late, and he says, sorry, crazy morning. We get JJ, and we get this guy who looks like Michael Bay. It's pretty funny. I didn't realize. I thought it was Keanu at first, but then some people on Discord were like, he actually looks like Michael Bay as well. And I looked it up and I'm like, no, he really looks a lot like Michael Bay. That's crazy. So, so he knows, he's like, they tell me that Brayden Fox, and of course, Brayden Fox, of course. And he's like, yeah, I know Brayden. We were roommates actually. And he's like, can't imagine. He's such a character, and he really loves the source material. He could not have been more complimentary about you. And it's really weird because it's just like, God, that's not what you want to hear. It's like, it's probably manipulative. It's manipulative. It is manipulative. So it's just like, you could already see all the angles being worked in that respect. But he's like, you know what? Like, that's where Nathan is just like, fuck all this Hollywood talk. Like, he's getting into the story, and he's like, look, the story, this, that, it's about a person who, it's like, it has a true romance feel. But then he says, but with Sean getting out and the ex coming to him with new jobs, them getting back together, and they basically get a chance to redo their old lives just better. But that story is bullshit, because Sean wouldn't be the same person he was before prison. And then he looks at JJ, and she kind of has this like she can't face him look, this guilty look, and he says, and he wouldn't let himself be used again. And I think that immediately, once I read that, I knew what was going to happen for the rest of the meeting. What did you guys think of that line?
It was powerful. It really showed you a lot of Nathan's character and his growth, like throughout the past 20-something issues. And because considering all the flashbacks before where he was manipulated by Brayden, he really did like learn from that, and he put his foot down this time and did something for himself rather than being used for someone else's gain.
Yeah, we see JJ's reaction on the other panel. Like, I don't know if she takes this right. Like, maybe she doesn't, like, she has no like cognition with this kind of stuff. Whereas like she just thinks it's the story stuff, and he's just talking about story stuff, and there's no relation to the real life situation. Because like I've had an ex where I've written metaphors, and a lot of stuff goes over their head, and it's just so. And I felt bad for her, but it's like also it's like that's kind of like half of who I am. So like you need to. It's kind of funny to me that she didn't. But I like to think that JJ. She's not. I don't think she's dumb, and I think she kind of knows. It's like, hey, you kind of know what you're doing. So like we could get like, if this sinks in, we might get like a text later on. JJ might be like, yeah, I realized that was kind of terrible, and oh yeah, I caught Brayden cheating on me 15 times or something. Like we'll see where it ends up. But I like to think that this hit a chord with JJ.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just super powerful. And yeah, I think for sure, yeah, she definitely understood it, and just kind of like the shadow on her face too. Like she's just kind of like looks pretty doom and gloom there. But I love the reaction, just like the next, like the conversation with Michael Bay here.
Yeah, the what's funny is like the producer speaks Brayden's language, right? Where like he might not even be a guy with his finger on the pulse of what stories they really need and what could be an excellent film or a streamer, as they say, right? Like you look at Sony, if Kevin Feige didn't come to them in 2014 and they made the deal to save Spidey, I mean, look at the quality of Sony, right? There's a lot of people in power in Hollywood that just pass the shittiest ideas, and sometimes a Cocaine Bear gets by and is actually like half decent, but like there's so much stupid stuff out there.
Cocaine Shark now.
We're all in. So it's on, you're not even safe in the water from, whatever. But yeah, that's a curveball. But yeah, so studio executives don't always know. So it's like, there's always these barriers for these creative types. I'd have to go to publishers and try to sell myself, right? That's the other thing, is you have to sell yourself. And that's hard as a writer, because it can seem inauthentic to be trying to like embellish all this stuff you might be a little insecure about, because a lot of writers, they overthink and they're not the best at selling themselves or not touching their mic when they're going on these
An
rants.
executive doesn't give a shit about your creation. They just see dollar bills. You know what I mean? Whereas you care about your baby. Like, you know what I mean? At least most people who are creators I know care about their creations. I can tell Kyle Higgins really cares about his Massiveverse and the characters because of everything they've done so far. It's obvious.
I think of
So
Matt Groom with Self-Made, right? Like he's like, I know
Mhm.
he knows he put out something excellent, might not have sold as well as it should have, but like he still put out
He's
that
proud
amazing
of it.
piece of art.
Yeah.
Exactly, as he should
Yeah.
be.
Yep, as you should be, exactly. So it's like I think here Nathan, he wants his vision. He doesn't want his vision to be distorted by whatever the fuck Brayden's trying to push. And you can see immediately, right, when he says, so he gets forced back into it. We want a contemporary crime show. What would force him back to that place? And that's where you see Nathan say money. It's always money, and the background goes like blue and dark. But in the next panel, that's where you see the executive immediately go, well, sure, yeah. Do we want to loop Brayden in? I feel like we can build this out as a vehicle for someone. Immediately, his instinct is like, yeah, let's go to Brayden. Let's build this out. So it's like he has no he doesn't give a shit about Nathan. Like Nathan's not even though he's like here, like talking to him, he's like, okay, look, I'm not interested in Nathan and Brayden doing this. Maybe I can try. And then when he's like, immediately you could see the expression of the executive change. And he's like, no, it's not. It's a little tough. They really want these things packaged up. I don't think a streamer will make that deal, So, yeah, like, it's just tough.
Yeah, I like the way the panel like stands out. It's juxtaposed to like all the other panels. It's the only one different in the middle and stuff like that. And it's a really prevalent panel. Money, it's always money. And sadly, it's a true statement that applies to a lot of stuff. Is how it leads to corruption and stuff like that. And this guy almost seems lost when the Michael Bay guy, when he realizes that he doesn't want to have Brayden involved. It's like you told him that he can't bring his kid with him somewhere or something. Like he's like heartbroken, and I hate that idea that like Brayden has to be part of it. We'll bring Brayden for what? Because this is all Brayden does is these pitch meetings and stuff like that. Like he doesn't know how to actually make the product. He's just selling you the stuff to the mob boss basically.
Yep, he's the guy who knows how to tell the execs what they want to hear. Like, you know what I mean? It's just to sell the product. So. Whereas, like, it doesn't really have anything to do with delivering the vision of the actual creator or, creating something that they actually were trying to bring to life in some sort of fashion. I do love that as we're seeing the driver pull up, that we have the attention to detail of the driver sticker on the on the right side of the windshield. I love that. And yeah, Nathan's back on his way to LAX terminal. Bittersweet because things fell apart, but Nathan held his resolve and showed character, showed development. I think Nathan really improved a lot as a person in this issue.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I love the Brayden text like 3 thumbs down, like 3 emoji stuff.
That's
like,
so
get out of
douchey,
here,
man.
get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. And then JJ's on this. I was just trying to help you. Like, nah.
Plus his initials are BF, like boyfriend. So you remember that he's JJ's boyfriend when you see the little picture there. So
God.
What were you saying, Ali?
No, I love the text to mom. He's like, "This is flight number 8267. If you want to track it."
Yeah,
that's how my mom is too. Whenever I'm traveling, he's like,
For sure.
Mrs. Burnett always coming in clutch.
Yeah, and we get like a lot of wisdom from these drivers here. He goes, "So are you leaving home or are you going home?" And he goes, going. I'm going home." So he does not consider LA home.
A spark of hope though, because right as he's leaving the car home,
Tom Taylor's here.
Yeah, he gets someone just yells, "Hey, Radiant Black!" And at the moment, it's like, "Oh shit!" And he sees the guy that was the director for the writer for the Versus video, and he's like, they get to talking, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I had a meeting. And he's like, "Oh, that's pretty much LA." And he's like, this is kind of important. He's like, look, I partnered up with the Versus guys. We're going to it's not studio stuff, but we're making cool stuff. I'm flying out to New Orleans now for the next one, which is where Rogue Sun is. So maybe they're doing a Rogue Sun video. That would be really cool. Excited. I think that is what they're doing here.
Like a little Easter egg.
Yeah. And yeah, so he just tells him, I think this was really cool, a really cool line. He's like, feels like this place is about eras, The weather never changes. It's hard to feel time, so it's kind of about who you're spending time with and who you were when. You know what I mean? And that's where Nathan says, "Yeah, I do actually." So I thought that was a really nice way to end the issue and cap off a tough trip for Nathan.
Timing is a big factor in a lot of life, right? You never know. Some things can happen when, you're not ready yet. You don't even understand opportunities that slip through your fingers. And sometimes timing hits you, right? Where you're down, you're defeated, but hey, here's a little light. And it's kind of, I love what this says to creative types out there, which is like, hey, if you stick with your ideals, you never know what opportunities will come your way with other like-minded people that really care about the art and they're really passionate about it. And there's always ways beyond Hollywood. It's not the only option. They're not the only ones making movies, and there's always another way if you truly believe in your craft and work hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, getting also getting back on the plane here. I love this scene. Just like love the way this ended, just with like just Nathan's face in the window, kind of like mimicking the Radiant Black Helmet, obviously, but just seeing like, oh, like, and then yeah, just that big line we'll talk about. But real quick, I did want to point out, I do love the way I believe that's Zay Carlos again that's drawing Marshall in that last page on the FaceTime. He it draws Marshall really well. So yeah, just want to point that out.
Definitely. Zach Carlson, awesome addition to this issue.
Bash, you're gonna like this. Marshall's got the Mandark friggin' M in his hair there, like the bangs, the Mandark bangs going.
Yeah, that's funny. A Mandark from Dexter's Lab, if you don't know, a fantastic cartoon network.
Or Susan, if you're a real hardcore Dexter's Labber. But yeah, Mandark. First mention of Mandark on the podcast. If you want to know a lot of my sense of humor, go see what Mandark's all about. But yeah.
Dexter's Lab is so good, the best. But yeah, I just want to say, I don't know if we mentioned this directly, but there's a moment here where he says, like, if you ever want to do work together, you know, like we could work together, hit me up if you want to work on more stuff. I had a blast working with you. And then he says, yeah, you too. So that's a really nice little moment, a victory for Nathan at the end, I think. Because like one door closes, another one opens, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is like Kyle if he's like leaving LA and you see someone that works like an animation studio, and you know what I mean? Like, I'll take your number in case I ever do a bomb ass comic that I need a cartoon for just like one issue. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what you're gonna be. I'd love to know. I mean, obviously Kyle has gone to LA. He's lived a lot of the Nathan life. You can tell, and I feel like, you know, I really like what he's done. You can tell, like, he probably met a lot of people that have been instrumental in the Massiveverse via his time elsewhere, right? You never really know when you're gonna develop your own super network, not just for phones.
Definitely. I mean, yeah. And I just want to say last thing here in this issue, they kind of, there's the panel of Nathan looking out the window, all hopeful, almost like over, you know, like a new sun has risen, there's a new day, blah blah blah. But then like it's like, fuck, I need to move back to LA. That's a really bittersweet way to end the issue, because I'm like, oh my god, I really hope, like, I don't know. I've been really enjoying the chemistry between Marshall and Nathan. I don't know how Marshall could deal with that kind of change. So it's like, it's either I think something big is going to happen, or Marshall's going to just go with him, right? Like, I don't know.
You know what's crazy too? We never actually saw Marshall without Nathan, right? Except when he was in a coma. And at that point, he was fucking depressed as shit. So if they separate again, I'm pretty sure Marshall's going to take it pretty fucking tough.
Yeah, he's his support human. Orson doesn't seem like he was trained to do such things. And like, yeah, that's a good point where we don't know. Marshall will fall apart. Nathan can survive, but also there's a strength in the two of them, right? Like, I feel like if Marshall was there and Brayden was fucking around, I feel like Marshall would be like, look, you're going to give him 20K for this script and you're lucky to have him around or something. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I feel like maybe after the Catalyst War, Nathan could just go back to LA. It's like, okay, I fought. Now it's peacetime and I've got some ideas here.
Marshall is both Nathan's biggest bully and biggest like supporter, so he'll work really well with him in LA, I think.
True.
Yeah, and a great way to cap off a fantastic issue. I know a lot of people said this one was a little bit slower, but I think appropriately so. I think this was a fantastic character development issue. I think this issue is a good setup for the big 6-7 months that we're going to have between Radiant Black 24 to 30. And I say 24 because we've already gotten the pages for 24. That's going to be the Return to Existence huge issue. And then right after, we don't have time to relax. We got Catalyst to War. So it's a very exciting time to be a fan of the Massiveverse, a fan of Radiant Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our plates full. We're going to be covering so much on the podcast. Probably there are many theories everywhere. Kathy yells everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, so excited for that. But before we end, there's one thing we all love. It's Marshall's School of Business, and we got another installation, Marshall's School of Business. This time it was the comic book writing debut. So congratulations of Andrew Lehman or Lemon. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
I'd say Lehman.
Lehman? Yeah, Lehman. Okay. Fantastic. I really like this one. And art by Nicolo Lalapi, who is, by the way, I believe Eric Dorso's partner and a very talented artist. So check his work out.
Oh, cool.
Really cool stuff. Yeah.
Plus,
And
Becca
then
Carey
also
doesn't miss
Becca
out on the issue
Carey.
entirely.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So what'd you guys think of this one? This one was one of my favorites, to be honest. I really enjoyed this one.
Best use of absent space by default, or negative space for sure. Yeah, that's how it's going to stand out to me. But I did like this one. I thought it was pretty layered. What about you guys?
I agree. And one thing I just want to just shout out real quick before we dive into this is I love Nicolo Lapi's use of facial expressions. I think he's so good at it. And I think he did the last one as well, the last Martial School of Business. I know he
Gorilla's
did.
energy. It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
He did the
Right?
one with the Italian. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one was at least the artwork. I loved it, and I really enjoyed the artwork on this one. I thought the writing was incredible. This one was definitely, I think, one of my top 3 School of Business.
Andrew really did a good job, like conveying Marshall's ability to fucking talk until he either annoys someone enough that they leave, or like pisses someone off that they're gonna complain to the boss. But guess what, Marshall apparently like lives there sometimes. Never gonna get rid of him.
He's essentially Orson, just barking until they go away, right? Like allow.
Oh my god, yes.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, this was just a fun one, and I think definitely the highlight for me was the art on this one, just like the uniqueness of it, and I love just the variety of artists and just talent we get on these books, and awesome to see a debut here.
This one felt very Clerks to me. Like especially when he's like, "Thank God, I thought that jerk off would never leave," and then he just starts talking to the other lady about the earbud thingies. I thought like that was very Randall from
Oh yeah.
Clerks. I loved it. So it took me back to that moment. So thank you, Andrew, Nicolo, and Becca. Fantastic installation. And of course, on the next page, you've got the No One advertisement, No One #1 coming out March 15th, next Wednesday. Please check it out. It's so good. We all got a chance to read it. We can't spoil anything yet, but we'll have our review out Tuesday night, just around, it was time it hits Wednesday morning. And you're going to also get the companion podcast, the official No One companion podcast with with the Rachel A. Cook and Pat Oswalt. So I can't wait for that, guys. Super exciting.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on it if you like crime thrillers, and like that guy is. We've read the first issue, and like I can't spoil anything, but I will spoil that it's well written, and I think you'll enjoy it. Like I need to see the next few issues. Like it was, I was impressed, and it's hard to continue to be impressed when you kind of know what you're dealing with, Kyle Higgins, and that's like you don't know what the hell it is, but really well done. I love the art too. Like it's good.
In my opinion, Otsman El Howe is the best letterer in comics right now. In my opinion, like it's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. And except like it's hard to do it when he's not taking any L's, so he's just using 25 letters. But like it's really amazing. No, that's so shitty. Don't let me advertise anything. But no, really good. You don't want to miss it. I love that cover with the plate for the face or whatever. Oh my god, that's one of my favorite covers I've ever seen.
Yeah, Mark Engler did the cover, that variant, and he's actually the colorist on the series. So super talented guy. Yeah.
Definitely check that out. Let us know, guys. Are you guys and girls? Are you feeling 22? Was this one of your favorite issues? Was it a sleeper? Tell us why. Did listen to this help improve your enjoyment of the book, and maybe you'll give it a second chance. Just let us know.
Yeah, for sure. And also too, cool little thing. We get our first like widespread poster like from these exclusives. For sure. So this was kind of cool. Just Radiant Black in Los Angeles. You get the Hollywood sign in the background. Just just him kind of chilling there. Just a nice clean poster. And I saw it too. You can put this one on a towel too. So if you want to go to the beach with Radiant Black, there you go.
Yep. It's a really cool banner, fine art print. Yeah, go to Black Market Narrative. Go to their shop. They have the fine art print for I believe it's the Chris Evanwees variant, the 125 for Radiant Black 22 with the LA and the Ferris wheel or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it looks beautiful. You can get that as a fine art print, as a banner, as a poster. They even have framed options from the Black Market Narrative shop. So just go check that out if you're interested. Big shout out.
That's fucking sweet. I've
Yeah.
got like in my head, like the towel I've always wanted is the towel from South Park. I know it's a real towel. I've never made the plunge and do it, but this is the second most I've ever wanted a towel in my life. That sounds lame, but you're hearing it from Matt Murphy, who has a butt, who thinks of weird shit. And yeah, so I'm probably gonna get that Radiant Beach towel, and then everyone's gonna know that everyone's gonna think I'm a big science guy. But no, just in the comics and good ones. So yeah, enjoy that shit.
Yeah. So I want to give a big shout out and thank you to our Patreon. So we got Reading Black Podcast, patreon.com/Reading Black Podcast. If you want to support us, we really appreciate it. Directly support the show. It means a lot. Or, just leave a review or a comment or a like. That goes a very long way as well. So thank you. And shout out to our patrons, Noah, Patrick, and Joe J. Thank you so much for your support, guys. We appreciate it. And Noah, I just shipped out your book. Sorry, I've been struggling with some injuries real life, but I finally just shipped out your book, so you should get that soon. Anyway, thank you guys. We have a surprise on Monday that we're doing. I might have mentioned it before, but if we haven't, then you're in for something really fun. Stay radiant.